Off. What have you been up to? And I want to hear acting shit first. Then we move to Valley Mentality.
Dude, I'm not an actor anymore. I'm a
When did that happen?
fashionista. I'm a
Oh, okay.
fashionista.
Exclusively.
Acting wise.
Yo, let's talk your Lifetime movie, bro.
Oh yeah. Dude, you're a smart bloke. I appreciate that you referenced that because I was thinking I had nothing going on.
Bro,
We
that
haven't talked
shit
about that yet?
dropped what, like last week?
Like a day ago. No, yeah.
Is it on? Where can people find it? Because
Yeah.
I haven't found it.
So um Lifetime movie I shot about a year ago. Uh Made by the same director that I did the other one with, David Dakota. Hilarious, lovely guy. You can find it on. I think the easiest place to find it is Amazon Prime. It's
Great.
called As Luck Would Have It, and it's a Lifetime murder mystery 3-part series.
Did
Each
you
episode's
watch
an
it?
hour. I did, of
What'd you think?
course. I thought, um, it's a Lifetime movie. It's definitely just whipped together as far as the whole thing goes. But watching for myself, bro, the kids got something. I'll tell you that.
Bro, how the fuck do you feel like you're like, oh, like let me grasp at straws. Like, what do I have going on? You just had this shit drop like a day ago and you thought you did well. You liked the performance.
Yeah.
Bro, that's fucking sick. Is it demo reel material? Can you take it?
Yeah. 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 I mean, I'm just like not that. It's
Bro,
so funny.
what's going on? What's the vibe?
Well, like even my roommate is a producer and stuff too, and he's like, yeah, yeah, dude, you got to add that to your reel media. And I'm like, I just don't really give a fuck about reels, like all the little stuff, you know.
Do reels not really lead to anything?
I feel like I'm kind of past that. Like,
Oh, okay. You don't audition either, do you? You're just what is that like clause that some actors have? It's like the that shit where they don't, oh, I don't
offer
audition.
only,
Yeah,
offer
offer
only.
only. Are you offer only now too?
Considering I'm offer only, the reel can only benefit
Yeah,
so
you're
far.
way past the real.
Well, like, I just think certain agents and managers have power to get you into rooms for the bigger stuff.
Without a doubt.
And I don't think it really comes down to the reel. Like, my reel demonstrates my vibe, my acting capabilities. Uh, and like, I think it's just kind of a matter of I got to make the right connections and keep honing my craft. But for the most part, I mean, look, this part that I had in this Lifetime movie, I was in a ton of scenes. And for instance, I'll give you like a little bit of an analysis of my performance. Like in the opening scene, it was super intense. Everything is kind of like all the actors kind of spitting out lines. It seems like an NCIS soap opera type thing, right? And then it gets to me, and actually, I kind of slow everything down. I'm relaxed and charming. You kind of like right out of the gates, just like, whoa, this guy seems really real and charismatic in
You
something where we
control
didn't.
the whole narrative. You slow down the entire pace of the moment.
Yeah, it's which I'm really proud of because that's what you're supposed to do rather than like getting into like lifetime stuff, which is a thing, but like you're supposed to make it still seem as real and interesting as you possibly can. So I was really appreciative that I seemed like, and just relaxing when you're acting in front of all those people is not always the easiest thing. So I would say that was probably the takeaway from a lot of my biggest moments was I got a lot of scenes where I was really like there was intense things happening and I was just like super thoughtful and kind of like just real and chilled and really just like thinking and fun, having fun. So really glad that that came across. And I mean, yeah, like my mom saw it and she was like, you're a star, kid, you got it. So
You got that quality, that unspoken quality that you have. That's what it
that
is.
old star quality. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even quite say I was that believable. I was supposed to be a lawyer. I
Yeah.
was like, I was like,
Because of your age, why don't you think you were believable?
supposed to be a lawyer and like taking care of my mother in it. And I just, it wasn't just on me. Like I was wearing tight jeans, like a Volcom t-shirt.
Was that
I
your choice
was,
or did you have a
no,
costume?
costume designer,
Okay.
which I don't blame her either. Like it was flashy clothing. It got me noticed, but so we had fun with it. But also, I just seemed a little gangly at the time too. I don't think I was like in great strong shape. So I was just, I just seemed like this like super tall, like I don't know, this kid that you're like, I guess I was noticeable that you're like, who the heck is this kid? Like, as like
He's a
charming
lawyer.
and kind of doing his thing, this young guy. I guess it did seem like it was like this kid kind of seems like he could amount to some big things for sure.
Bro, I think it's hilarious how people in our demographic, like 20 somethings male actors, it's like, yeah, like lawyer, like, you're like a young doctor, a young professional. It's like the generic, like
Well,
broad.
I will say this: most of the guys that fit that character description
Yeah,
that are in a soap opera or a Lifetime movie,
yeah.
they kind of have a specific look, and they will look
Yes,
like that. And they'll
yes,
be
yes.
chiseled as fuck, and
Yeah.
they'll have biceps bulging from their biceps.
Wait, lawyers? What are you talking about?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what the
That's
heck it
always
is.
the
Like,
look. Lawyer
it's
slash
just the
cop.
MO slash real estate agent slash
Yeah.
uh architect.
I mean, you can
Insert
get a lot of work that way. That's like a working blue collar type actor.
white collar, nicer than blue collar. Yeah, but yeah, if you get those roles, and they got, and it doesn't look real by the way either. For the most part, they look like the TV version, which is good, but the skin's overly glossy and everything. I, in a sense, I am going in that direction, is trying to just look the best, feel the best that I can possibly be, but also I am a little bit in a good way. I have my own style. I have my own distinct like character, whereas some of those guys are like carbon copy out of like a GQ cutout.
Yeah. And they're
And
interchangeable. It wouldn't matter if it's
yeah,
Joe Schmo or Bob.
no,
It's the same
no,
shit.
it's the same shit. And so at the end of the day, when you see someone that looks like me and that type of thing, I as an audience person would be like, whoa. And also like, I'm kind of funnier than those guys, like just
Yeah.
innately. And yeah,
That's star quality, bro. Let me ask you a question.
yeah,
If your entire career ended up being like a series regular on an NCIS and you can make a full-time living off that, would you be satisfied?
I would definitely take it
You take
at
it,
this.
but you
Yeah.
wouldn't be fully fulfilled.
Well, my stepmom's not fully fulfilled on the soap opera for her career. She's done it for however, like almost 40 years or something now. And
Has she been on the same soap opera for like 40 years or entertained?
basically, yeah, it's crazy. But she's also done other ones in between. She left for a little bit to try to have a movie career, came back to it. And look, it's the best problem to have.
Yeah.
But
Beating the odds if you can land something like that.
oh my gosh, yes. But like obviously she aspires, so she would want to do some of the most artistic creative stuff possible. Same with my dad, same with me. Naturally, would I be satisfied? I've once said to Tanner, I didn't get into doing acting stuff and everything so that I can have a career, even like, and spare me, I know this sounds so kind of just immature, but I wouldn't even want a career necessarily like Rob Lowe's to just kind of like bounce around from TV show 911 Lone Star. Yeah, I think he's stolen scenes in Austin Powers and
Yeah,
that
he
HBO movie that's
just did
big.
that one series, like unstable with his son, like the
Yeah, with his son.
comedy
I wish I got that. I auditioned for that.
for the son or what?
No, no, for the one of the people at their work that like idolizes Rob Lowe.
Oh, nice.
And actually, I know the kid he's a comedian that got the part. It's one of Tanner's friends, and he was great. He played the part better too, at least what came across. But um, look, yeah, Rob Lowe's in a great place. He basically do whatever the fuck he wants. In fact, yeah, the fact that he made his own Netflix comedy with his son, I don't know if you could really beat that in a lot of
And it
ways.
could
But
also be because he can do anything. It could also just be like not to knock on Rob Lowe, but
I know I love how it got
that's this
Rob Lowe
whole
thing.
pod. But
Yeah,
it could just be his own quality of like ideas. Like if it's Rob Lowe
yeah,
and he had any kind of idea, he could probably go to any network and be like, I'm Rob Lowe,
yeah,
here's my
yeah.
idea. But like the best that Rob, again, not to knock Rob Lowe, but
No,
him, like the best idea he could come up with at that time was unstable, you know?
our creative tastes are slightly different than Rob Lowe's.
Yeah, right.
That being said, like on paper, I do kind of. It seems a little cocky to me that he made himself like an Elon Musk. That's like unstable.
That was his
And
character. I never saw it.
yeah, it's that he's like an Elon Musk and he's just self-absorbed and it takes his son coming back to kind of like ground him. He's like a strange son to his business. And it
Yeah,
by the
imagine
way, like
pitching
I
that.
liked the pilot.
Imagine pitching yourself as the star of that concept.
Yeah, it's a little cringe.
A little bit.
A little bit. Um, but who are we to judge for one?
Yeah,
Two, I
he's
do,
a great
he's
spot. I loved him in Tommy Boy, you know.
oh, precisely, exactly. That being said, I think what we're getting at, the positive to take away from this
Yeah.
is that no matter what we end up doing, and no matter how like good of a position in the industry we are, it's important
Yes.
to make our own stuff and get the most potential out of ourselves.
Yeah, bro. You gotta, at the end of the day, you are the tastemaker. Like, if you're in a position where all the doors are open, you better have some fucking great ideas. Because when you're in that position, you can lead it to like hundreds of people getting jobs to be on your thing. You've got like 20 gaffers, got a DP, all this shit. And like
Tons of gaffers.
tons, the most gaffers.
It's an army of gaffers.
Bro, it's hilarious. One of the DPs I work with, he was like, yeah, my dream is to have like 25 gaffers. And I'm like, why, bro? And he's like, because then you could just set up. He was talking about in like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Apparently, Tarantino, I forget what they're called, but Tarantino shot all that shit in LA, right? So not only did he completely shut down the LA interstate,
Yeah.
but he had these, they're like flags, the black flags that you use to hide lights and stuff, but you take that
Yep.
and you like 1,000 exit, and in order to do that you need like 25 gaffers to be setting up all that shit along the highways and stuff. That's the dream.
Dude, I oftentimes go to sleep dreaming of gaffers.
100 gaffers,
Hundreds,
carrying
thousands of
on a
gaffers.
phone.
Just,
Yeah.
just black flags.
Black flags everywhere. Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah, but bro, that is a good point, because like you could have all the doors open for yourself, but at the end of the day, always comes back to quality of the idea. That's it.
Another person who kind of like got into that position of like a Rob Lowe, actually doing it now, I'm kind of giving Lowe credit that he's in a great position, is like Sterling K. Brown. He did
Yeah, of course.
he did This Is Us.
Yeah,
and then after This Is Us, like because he comes from a pretty artistic background, and This Is Us is successful, but it was considered a pretty like kind of vanilla, just procedural TV show.
Middle country.
And
yeah,
middle America maybe. But even though it was on like issues of like gender and political issues, but he kind of got to do these really stylistic A24 movies that I didn't think were perfect by any means, but like I definitely get that the idea of someone who has kind of more of a consistent, stable like TV career, maybe on procedural shows, and then able to do stand-up comedy or whatever it is on the side, like write their own passion projects.
Yeah. Dude, even if it's able to fund your other shit, like even Valley Mentality, what you got going on, like when that takes off and that's going on in the background, it's like
Yeah.
suddenly have this idea to do this pickleball thing or whatever. And like you
Yep.
can actually finance it and like make it great. Like, dude, M. Night Shyamalan, everyone shit over his career. Like everyone was talking about like early 2000s, he was having it rough. He made Avatar and other films, and people
Did the
just
Avatar movie not do well?
the Avatar, The Last Airbender, that
Right,
one.
that didn't do well. It didn't do well though.
Critically, it was completely torn apart.
Okay.
I don't know box office wise. I think it was also a box office failure, but like everyone, when you're looking at like an M. Night career, people always like
Shit on that.
completely like tear it apart.
I don't know.
Regardless,
Okay.
he had a hard time like 2000s, and it was rough because his first thing completely blew up. Sixth Sense. It was like the biggest movie of all time. He was on, I think, like the cover of Time or Variety or some shit. And they were the next Steven Spielberg, and he had made like one film. And so
Okay.
imagine having all that success, all that shit. Everyone's like, M. Night, like that ending was fucking crazy. And then 2000s, all this shit hits the fan. But the reason I'm telling you all this is because when he made Split, no, when he made The Visit, one of my favorite films that he's ever done, it's this horror film, like contained old people. I think old people are scary as fuck. So like I was really digging it. Premises,
You love discriminating against old people.
that's it, bro. Always, all my
Good.
films. And in this movie, these two kids go to visit their grandparents who they've like never met and shit, and it just gets really weird and creepy. But he put up all the financing. He like double mortgaged his house, which I don't recommend to anyone, but like he did that shit. He bet on himself. Movie knocked it out of the park. First, he went to LA and he tried shopping it around. He went to every single like network and studio. They all turned him down except for Blumhouse. And when Blumhouse came out with it, it was a massive success. And because he fronted all the money, he made a shit ton of money, dude. Like I think he put down 2.5 or like 5 mil or something, and it came back like 150, 180 mil. And then he just rolled that into Split. And he was like, if I bet on myself.
It's not older, is it? Is it older?
Is what older? The movie?
Is the movie called Old?
No, that was a later one he did. It's called The Visit. That was his
Okay.
first one, The Visit. And then after that, he was like, well, if that works so well and I bet on myself, I'm going to roll it into Split. And Split was like 2 times as successful as The Visit. And he kept and then he kept doing it and doing it. So point is, like, you bet on yourself, you make a certain amount of money, you got this thing going on in the background, you could put that money wherever you want. And then you've got all this creative freedom. If you're the one fronting the money, you've got all the control. That's the biggest thing. You get final cut, everything. So
speaking of which, you just reminded me. It's true. Everything you guys have heard. My
what?
father and I are writing the sequel to 7 Days to Vegas. Now we've started.
No way, dude. That's
Yeah.
recent, right?
Literally, my dad brought up yesterday. He's like, "All right, I got basically an outline already." And he ripped it to me, and it's sick. I got a big part. Let's go.
Ah, sick, bro.
Yeah.
You were supposed to be a role in like the first, right?
I mean, I was so not confident at the time, but and also he's like, "You're gonna have a little part in it." I was like, I don't even care. And the director ended up being a real asshole. And he kind of hated anything to do with our family. So yeah, no. But I was an assistant on it and learned a lot watching the making of it. But I mean, my dad and my uncle are gonna direct it, like co-direct this.
Cool.
I think I'm gonna have a hand in writing it. My dad's obviously kingpinning it. My uncle might write it a bit. I know they wrote today together. But bro, it's the opening is so funny. Just like killed me, bro. Like no one knows this world of gamblers better than them.
Yeah.
And honestly, their knowledge of like characters and what makes things high stakes is just fantastic. They know freaking story structure. I got news for you. And so it's just so much fun. And the backdrop, this one's supposed to take place in the desert, Palm Springs, after after they won the big moolah, the end of the last one. Shit hits the fan in this one out of the gates, but all the classic characters are back, and anyway, I guess we can't spoil it, but
Yeah, don't give any specifics, especially
yeah,
like that the script's not copywritten and everything. But
totally.
that's fucking sick. There's something about energy, dude. And we've talked about this where like
And we're working the pickleball stuff into this one too, big time.
oh, sick. So that's folding into this as
Yeah,
opposed to like pickleball having its own. And
yeah,
isn't it crazy how that happens sometimes? I've had that happen multiple times where I'm like
I'm
writing
sure.
3 scripts and then I'm like get serious about one and then I just start taking elements and then you fill it out.
It's perfect.
But dude, the crazy thing about energy and someone just being stoked, like your dad just being like, yo, like we're doing this. And then
Yeah,
everyone starts to get hyped, and then you got energy around it. You're talking about it. Like that's how you get anything done, bro. And you've got what I found is like creative wise, there are pockets of time where it's just not much is happening. You're kind of just living your life, doing your thing. And all of a sudden you're like, it's time. And then you start getting really serious about writing. You start getting up earlier. That's my experience. And I don't know why it happens when it happens, but like if you just take the bull by the horns and you're just fucking going after it, it's like that's what it takes.
yeah. I mean, in this case, my uncle was talking about doing like a series follow up for a while, and he touched on some of the backdrop elements of it, like where it take place. And then my dad just kind of like was like, I guess it might have been one conversation. He's like, we're not going to do it as a series. We're going to do we're movie makers. We're going to do a second movie, and they might try to get Barstool Sports involved this time because they voted it top 10 gambling movies of all time on their list.
Right.
Some fans over there, and they've kind of people like Barstool Sports have figured out how to make money outside of Hollywood with entertainment.
Barstool
So
is huge.
it's as big as it gets. And these days with
That's
like
a pizza review guy, right?
yeah,
Illinois.
yeah, he's quite the contentious figure, but they know gambling and they know comedy. So and like with the streamers, yeah, it's tough to figure out exactly how you're gonna make money unless you get the perfect deal. And if they already happen to have some fans over there, it might be fun to get that involved and stuff. So yeah, man, you're gonna see it. We're really doing it. So it'd be fun for me to. It's a dream role. Um, yeah. So
And you're in the
excited.
perfect position now to take something like that on.
I
Like a
am.
really nice, strong indie like that. That's
Yep.
a follow-up to a really strong film. Now's the perfect time. It's like strike while the iron's hot. It's time.
It is freaking time. The comedy of my role, dude. I would show up to set just like it's open season. It's a character. I wouldn't be playing. I have an accent the whole thing.
Yeah. Bro.
Be
Sick.
fucking wild.
I've
Just ham it up. Ham it
bro,
up.
I've had to cultivate my like tribe of people that we hype each other up. We've got the right energy. We start, spitballing projects. The fact that you got that shit built in with your family is fucking sick. Do you know how rare that is? Like for all y'all to be in the industry, be excited about making movies. It's like it's again the energy thing. Like you're gonna 10x the amount of time that it takes. You're just gonna cut it.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
gonna, it's like a straight line. Because if your dad starts getting hyped about it, he starts, he's got these writing sessions with your brother, you're talking about it. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah. It's I mean, it's pretty much non-existent elsewhere. I mean, obviously nepotism in Hollywood's huge, but I don't know about necessarily making movies together. Yeah.
Yeah, no, nepotism is a different thing. It's not a matter of like, yeah, you can put people up for jobs or whatever, but in the actual process of like, let's create
Right.
together, that's the difference.
It is. I mean, yeah, like there's a lot of siblings, but father-kid relationship that's pretty unique.
Yeah. A lot of producing is being really creative. Like you got to find every single avenue that could potentially work. So you guys even thinking about like Barstool Sports because they put you on a list, like that's the kind of mind that you got to have. You got to be flexible and tenacious.
Good point. Yeah, we definitely complement each other in that way. I might have a little more of a finger on the pulse of the different avenues today. What have you been up to creatively? I know you just had a meeting with the producer you're saying, or you're talking to one.
Yep, I thanks for asking. I'm getting really serious about this script that I finished that we talked about. It's the strongest thing that I've ever written. So I'm fully focused on like how can I make that a reality? I'm gonna shoot a proof of concept like from the opening scene in about a month. And we're gonna use that as the companion piece to the script, get a lookbook together. And I have a couple people that I'm gonna take it to as far as like financier wise, like producing wise, who could start, shopping it around and stuff. But it's just thinking about it's having that same kind of mindset of like, you got to think of every fucking avenue. Like today, I sent it to this one TikToker who I've seen like a lot of her content is very similar in terms of like the horror type stuff. And I feel like she'd be perfect for this lead in this role. And it's like, could we
She
let,
does horror content on her TikTok.
yeah,
Huh.
yeah, it's great. And it's eerily similar to like the concept, like her latest stuff is similar to like the inherent concept in this feature. So I reached out. We'll see what happens with that. But that's again thinking about like, could we leverage her audience? Could that make it easier to get something going? It's like, what are all the different pieces that we could kind of, finagle? It's like you have to have a plan A, B, C, D, like all the way down the line in order to actually get it off the ground. Cause bro, like getting something off the ground, I know because you've been around, like even just seeing your dad like try to get Vegas finished, like it's almost a miracle because the amount of doors you gotta knock on until one kind of creaks open. You're like, okay, there's a little room. Let's go.
Yeah. And so at this point, have you started talking to the money people and everything?
I want to I've mentioned it to I've had discussions with people who are connected to money people. Like as I'm like 2 degrees of separation away, but it's like I want to finish this thing in a month. I talked to my DP yesterday about it, and we're pretty much locked in for a date. And so yeah, once I knock out that proof of concept, we'll be able to take it to some people and see about making it a
That
reality.
makes sense. Awesome. Very cool. Any short films coming up at the moment?
I've got like 5 in the docket, but I'm kind of chilling now, bro. Like the whole editing thing.
Yeah,
I'm loving not having this weekly release schedule, dude. Like it's freed up so much time.
good for
I'm
you.
like, this is how people live, you know? I've
Just
thought
going
about
about
what's that?
just going about their daily life.
Exactly, bro. I'm like, wow, like I can actually eat, I can watch something. It's pretty nice.
Listen to the birds chirping.
How's Valley Mentality? Any updates?
We're working with that brand, Basic Space. They're gonna do a drop with us any day now, which is pretty big. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Auditions.
No auditions, naturally.
Hey, you
Uh,
mentioned like some reps that's usually the most important thing in terms of connects, as opposed to like perfect demo reel, like that'll open all the doors. Do you feel like your reps are they opening doors?
Um, I think they're pretty good. They're pretty good. Yeah.
What would you say to someone who like hasn't had a rep and feels like once they get a rep, like
It's gonna be the secret.
like that's it. That's all you need.
Uh, the reality is that reps can get you auditions, which is definitely something. It's something for the pride. It's something for you're in the game, and it gets you in front of casting directors. I mean, it's definitely a lot, but I think to actually get the jobs, a lot of times you got to be making your own shit.
Have you had live auditions or have they all been tapes?
I've had just like 4 or 5 live auditions.
How do you get in the mindset of, because that's the thing that I struggled with the most, like even simulated live auditions in acting school. How do you, what do you click into, like when they call your name and you're walking to that door and you see through the window like the fucking producer and director, and you open the door and you go in? How do you, what kind of mindset most benefited you? Or like, how do you not, how are you not nervous?
Uh, Last one I went on was a callback. I had a callback for something, so I got brought in, and I remember just trying to. I told myself, don't. I have some general rules. Don't try to like impress them. Don't play up to them, but at the same time, have fun, make them laugh, and let's do the best I can. Like, let's do better than I've been practicing. Even try to have the best performance you've had so far.
Do you try to be like charismatic before you get into the role? Like when you open that door, you're like, hey, like, what's up? Or do you just, are you fucking keyed into
Well,
the
so then like as far as like how I actually ended up acting was no, I'm fun before. I'm like maybe even more so. Like I told you about this for sure, but in this last one, the director even kind of wanted to just like get on with it, get like started. But I might have said like, hey, by the way, my friend Craig Campasso knows you or something. And he's just like, oh yeah, Craig. And like it was like it almost made him like go from one mode to another, and he wasn't
yeah.
necessarily that psyched about that. But uh and then I went pretty much right into the audition. And you have to, for literally auditioning, it's like a new setting. You're getting right in there. So you have to make sure that like physically, technically, everything matches up because it's going to be taped and you don't want to be the victim of like awkwardness that happens. And that did kind of happen to me actually. But then in the actual scene, I'm just telling myself like, just try to make this as real as possible and go with the moment. My rule of thumb for auditioning is generally it's a little bit of an audience. So like work off the audience a little bit, take direction well. So like any note that you get, try to genuinely make it as good as possible, really listen well. And that's kind of it. Like I mean, you just have anytime I'm acting, I'm going to try to make it as real, interesting as possible. And this was kind of a comedy. So like I was just, they gave me a different note in the room than I had originally. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to go with that.
Hmm.
And I didn't end up getting it, but yeah, I think I'm pretty good at that the few times that I have done it, just because I don't really take it personally. I take it like, yeah, it's just another chance to try my best.
I saw this video from Leo DiCaprio where he was talking about when he first started, and he was like 8 or whatever, or like 11,
Mhm.
just like snotty kid. And for the first year and a half that he auditioned, and it's like a sob story, right? Like an 11-year-old doesn't get roles, but still, he didn't get any role for like a year and a half. And then he finally made the decision, like, you know what? I don't give a fuck. Like, what anyone says about me or like if I get the role or not. And then he just started booking everything. Like people can smell the desperation off of you, but it's so hard to not have that because I
And
feel,
like,
yeah,
and Michael Keaton and George Clooney said the thing that they started getting jobs when they started treating the audition like they already had the job.
I like that.
So
Yeah.
like even the audition, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
That's what I did then too. It's like you go in and treat it as if you're genuinely trying to make it the best it could possibly be.
I
You're
think
not,
that,
yeah.
bro, that just thinking about that, I feel like that mentality would be the most helpful for me of like, you've already got it because then there's nothing to prove. It's just a matter of like doing the role. And that's all
And
they want
there's
to see.
and there is. And when you've heard directors and casting directors and everyone talk about it, obviously you are director. They don't give a shit about the actors. My cousin, who's a big writer, he makes fun of actors. Like, so the quicker you can get past this gladiator pit of performing,
Yeah.
um, the better. And just get on with like, it's kind of tough if you have to drive around town, all these things, but like, just make it as easy and straightforward as possible because it's a really whimsical thing.
Well, the nightmare scenario is like all the shit that's going on in the background. Like someone could have given up their 3 shifts that would have like paid their rent. And then, like you're saying, they like drive to Santa Monica from Sherman Oaks and like they're late for their audition and they're hot and tired and they haven't
Yeah.
some relationship issues. And all this shit is happening behind the scenes, and you're expected to just like do the role like you have it. So it's understandable that like people are freaking the fuck out when they get
Yeah.
that panel of people, but you can't give it that weight. You can't give it that
Yeah.
like, oh, like if I'm accepted, then my entire life is going to be great. Because ultimately, even if you get that role, it's not going to fix all your problems. And that's what
It's
people,
honestly the exact same thing as a first date.
yeah, yeah, dude.
First date, like I do the same thing. I'm like, try not to like make it like such a big deal. Don't be needy. And then also like try to genuinely just have fun and
Yeah.
like make them laugh. That's make yourself laugh. Like pretty straightforward.
Dude, it's the exact same mindset.
It is. And for acting performance, like my rule of thumb, make it as good as it possibly can be. And like generally, like if you're just trying to really bring it to life, no matter what setting you're in, I don't care if you're in a doctor's office, like make it seem like that situation is really unfolding in real time right there. And then you won't have time to focus on your nerves because you're going to be nervous. It's like you just have to do it anyway.
Are you picturing stuff in real time? Like, let's say you go into an audition room and you're supposed to be at like the beach or some shit. Like, are you really seeing everything as you're in it?
I'm trying to feel the stuff.
Right.
I find that like visual imagery and stuff works in the sense that like I'll try to connect somehow to that type of stuff. But even more important than maybe seeing it in the moment, my dad did give me advice a long time ago. He said, don't react to something unless you really feel it. Like try to feel that actual thing unfolding. Like, and that doesn't mean it's actually happening, but like you can mimic the feeling of like getting punched or having an attack or something like that. It's got to come from something that you've seen in a movie that reminds you of that or something ideally. And sometimes you have to fake it, of course. But so like in that audition, even I'm at a bar, I'm mimicking the feeling. Awesome. I'm not actually seeing it. I'm mimicking the feeling